In my hands are 5 of my favorite tools that don't cost an arm and a leg to help modify light and will help you create better images. See, shaping and controlling light is what takes your footage from looking basic to premium. However, in the beginning, getting the right tools and modifiers to do that can get expensive quick. So let's look at some more budget-friendly options. And because I'm all about practicality, I'm going to be setting up some scenes to show you exactly how awesome these budget options can be, like how I'm using one right now. So the first budget-friendly tool that we're going to be looking at is muslin, which is mostly used to bounce light. Now, there are 2 types of muslin, unbleached and bleached muslin. The main difference between both of them is that bleached muslin will usually keep the color temperature that's being bounced back relatively the same. If you shine 5,600 Kelvin into it, you're going to get 5,600 Kelvin in return. Unlike unbleached muslin, which is going to warm it up. So if you shine 5,600, you're going to get about 5,100, 5,400, something along those lines. And an added benefit of it is that it makes the skin just feel warmer, richer, and just makes it pop, which is why I love using unbleached muslin the most. And I like using it in one of 2 ways. One is just a direct bounce, so take the light, shine it directly into the muslin and have the return hit my subject. And the second way is a much fancier cove lighting setup, which just gives a much more natural, flattering wrap around the image. And it's one of my favorite ways to light. If you want to see a video on how to do that, let me know and I will make a video. So the next scene that we're going to be shooting, we're going to be using a shower curtain, or you can use shears to create this. Now, shower curtain and shears are great tools for diffusing light, and shears have the added benefit that they can be used for set design to help elevate a space, but also you can use a little bit of trickery to make it motivate a light that might not actually organically be in that scene. For example, putting them behind the wall and then blasting a light makes it look like the sun. Now, I personally love using a shower curtain to diffuse my light because I feel like it has a much more rougher and organic feeling to it when it's diffusing light compared to using a parabolic softbox, which is something that I personally really like when it comes to creating my image art. So with that being said, here's the shot. So the next lighting modifier that we're going to be looking at, I like to think of it as a Swiss Army knife of lighting modifiers, and it is a black wrap, or what some people like to call cinefoil. Now, all it is heavy duty aluminum that is painted black, and it's primarily used to block and shape light. So if you've got barn doors and there's like a light leak happening, you can use some black wrap it around the barn doors, and that will help cut any of that little spill that's happening. Or if you want to have a practical in your scene, but you don't want that light to spill onto the background, you can use some of the black wrap to help direct the light. But you can get incredibly creative with cinefoil. You can take it, wrap it around your light and create a sort of a snoot, and you can get a direct beam of light with that. You can do what we did to create this scene, which is just wrap the black wrap over a reflector dish and then shank it a bunch to create a weird gobo, which creates this really organic looking scene where the light doesn't just feel very artificial. But the best part of black wrap, unless you've shanked a bunch of holes into it, is that it's reusable. You can take it, fold it, roll it up again, and take it onto your next set and use it perfectly fine, no issues. All right, so a different scene than what we've been shooting. This time we're shooting a product shot and we're using a 5-in-1. Now, technically, that's the real Swiss Army knife of the light modifiers because it's 5 tools in one, but there can be multiple Swiss Army knives. Anyway, a 5-in-1 is exactly what its name suggests. It's 5 different lighting modifiers in one. So you have a silver side reflector, a gold reflector, a diffusion disc which sits in the middle, and then you get a white side for bouncing and a black side which you can use for negative fill. Now, there are various different sizes of 5-in-1 that you can purchase. You can get really small ones, you can get really big ones. Now, the minimum size I would go for is definitely 65 centimeters. And the reason why is that that is the smallest size that is still going to be usable for quite a few scenarios. Because if it's too small, then you're going to be able to see it and then it becomes a very niche item and then you don't use it as often. And then it spends a lot of the time in your gear closet just collecting dust and you wasted money for no reason, which no one really wants. Now, let's talk about how I'm actually using the 5-in-1 to create this shot. Now, I'm actually using 2 5-in-1s for this shoot. The first 5-in-1, I've completely stripped down to just a diffusion disc, and that is diffusing the light coming from my key light so that it's not as harsh and ugly and it's rather soft and wrapping around the subject. The second 5-in-1 I have is using the silver side reflector, and that is just filling in the shadow. And that is how I created this shot. The next tool is one of the easiest and cheapest tools that you can get to start modifying and manipulating your light right away. And that is a piece of foam core. So in this scene, I haven't set up any extra light. I've only got this bulb, which is acting as my key light. Now, without the foam core, I end up with a very dark, contrasty image, and you can't tell what's going on the side of the frame. Now, because this light source spills light everywhere, I have my foam core just off camera, bouncing back some of that spill and filling in my shadow. But don't let the fact that this is just a white piece of styrofoam deceive you. It actually can be incredibly versatile if you're willing to put in some work. You can spray paint it black, and now you end up with a negative fill and a bounce card. You can wrap aluminum around it. Now you got a reflector and a bounce, but it can be an incredible foundation for creating a DIY lighting. And for the fact that you can get it super cheap at a hardware store or at a dollar store, or if you buy any package that has some sort of padding, chances are there's going to be styrofoam. You can just snag that. So now you're recycling and getting a lighting modifier. It's pretty damn awesome. and is why it's one of my top 5 tools. Now, with that being said, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, you know, all that funky, funny stuff. Till then, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.